Well, good Saturday morning and welcome to New Thought Talk. I am your host, the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera. And I've got a day for you today. I want to welcome you all to the show, but more importantly, we're just going to get right to it. My guest for today is the Reverend Brian Graham. He's working on his doctorate, so it'll soon be Reverend Dr. Brian Graham. He's the author, an award-winning author of a book, and he's got some great stuff to share with us, and we're going to get into it. Brian, welcome to the show today. I am so glad that you're here. This has been a great morning to have time to visit with you.
Such a pleasure to be up here in Fresno. It's been many, many years since I've had the joy of being in the Central Valley this far north.
So you have been up here a little bit.
It was, and like many people who touch Fresno or Madera, is because of going to Yosemite and Kings Canyon and bringing the kids up here when they were young. Yeah. So it's great to be back. We got
some great stuff. But you came up from Oceanside. You're down there, and this is New Thought Talk, and you are a New Thought Science of Mind minister.
That is correct.
And so, you authored a book. So before we get into this great book, and I've had a chance to review it, Brian, I want you to share with me and our audience your story. How did you come to this great philosophy? How has it impacted your life? Tell us about it.
My genesis into New Thought was not a great deal different than yours. I had a mother who was Presbyterian. Mm-hmm. We have Scott heritage, so the Presbyterian thing. Yeah. And I, at an early age, realized I'm not fit for this. This is not where I want to be. Mm-hmm. So I completely rid myself of anything resembling religion when I was about 12 years old. Yeah. And I went through a period of time where not only had I renounced or let go of anything around religion, I was too cool. Yeah. You know, what are these people doing? Can't they see the reality of this?
Right.
So, but through those years with my mother, only in retrospect, I recognized she was giving us New Thought tenet.
Okay.
And my dad, in his own way, was giving us New Thought tenet. So in 1976, I was programming a radio station over in Monterey, KWAV. And at that time, every radio and TV station had to have a segment on Sunday morning.
Right.
It was a religious segment. The segment that we were using at the time was very hellfire, damnation, disassociation, disempowerment type thing. And again, not in any kind of religious background at that point. I put out a call to all the Monterey ministers saying, we're looking to fill this slot with something else. And I got about 10 or 12 different ministers who came in, and they recorded their pieces, and I listened to them, and there was one that was not about fault, guilt, right, wrong. It was about power, self-power. Oh. And I thought, that's what I'm comfortable with. Yeah. Again, I'm not involved in any of this. I didn't have a dog in the fight.
Right.
Well, that was Reverend Bill Little. He had just come to Monterey, and he got the slot. Well, I moved on, and just before I left that station, Bill and his wife Carol introduced me to a young lady who was studying to be a practitioner. Okay. Young Kathy. And they said, you might get along. So Kathy and I started dating. And as I say, she was going through her practitioner training. So she was telling me these things, and boy, did we fight like cats and dogs. Oh, don't tell me I can't make you love me. That it's your choice. Don't tell me that. That doesn't make any... We fought about the core issues. But she, in her loving way, just passed on this information to me. And at the end of our relationship, I did a game show that's a whole wonderful other story. And she had given me some things about how to think. Not what to think, but how to think.
Right.
So here I was sitting in the waiting area for this game show, and there were 20 contestants that could go on. Only 5 would be used. So I sat there saying, okay, let's put this to a test. So I sat and just thought, didn't meditate, wasn't formal, Just thought, I'm going to get on and win. I'm going to get on and win. Second show, I was called out of this big group, and I went on and won 5 shows. I retired as a champion.
Oh.
And even though Kathy and I weren't seeing each other anymore, I went back to her and said, I tried it.
Yeah.
It worked.
Okay.
But I didn't stay with it. This was at like 1980.
Okay.
And if Kathy's out there, give me a call. I'd love to touch bases with you again. So this was the early 80s. Toward the early part of the new century,
Right.
the first grandchild came along. And very much as the Buddhists teach, there are 3 stages in life. There's the youth stage, when we're not really responsible for what we're doing. We're out there just exploring.
Yeah.
Then there's the middle part, where most of our consciousness goes to raising a family and providing a living.
Right.
And the third stage is the spiritual stage. And it usually coincides with the arrival of grandchildren. I hate to think of myself as that common, that Buddha wrote about it how many centuries ago.
A week or two anyway.
Exactly, exactly. So I thought, I want to provide my grandchildren with some type of background, because so much of our American culture is based upon the Bible
Right.
and these traditional teachings.
Right.
I want to be able to provide for them some type of guidance
Okay.
that coincides with this, so they'll be able to operate really effectively.
Right.
So that was my excuse.
Okay.
And one day I was driving past a church I had passed countless times before,
Uh-huh.
and it was a religious science church. And I said, what the heck, let's check it out.
Okay.
So I went in. There, for 2 weeks, there happened to be a practitioner on duty during the day. They had just trying something to see if it would bring anybody in.
Just coincidence.
Oh, it's totally coincidence.
Yes.
Absolutely. No universe involved in
Right.
this. So I went in and talked to the practitioner, and I went back to the practitioner room. I said, well, tell me about what you do. And we talked a little bit, and I said, now, are you telling me that your teaching is that Jesus was the perfect example rather than the perfect exception?
Okay.
And she said, yeah, that would be
That'd be
true.
it. Yeah.
And I said, well, what is the service like? I mean, you don't worship chicken, sacrifice chickens or anything during it. There's no initiation experience or anything
Right.
like that. She said, no. So I came in, and I sat there listening to Reverend Brian Anderson at
Okay.
the Vista Church of Religious Science. And I think, as I heard these words, said, I know that. I thought, always lived that. You mean people don't know this? And it was a matter of 2 weeks before I was in the first course. And what's the course that attracts so many people? It's about prosperity.
Right.
Princes, palaces, and what's the third one? Princes, palaces, and prosperity. The kind of the gateway. And I went through that and thought, I know this, but I didn't know there were words for it.
Right.
I didn't know there were ways to do it. And then, like so many people, I had to have more. And more and more. And it was class after class. The first class I took, the young lady, Esther, who was signing me in, said, well, put down your Social Security number here. And I said, why do you need my Social Security number? This is spiritual.
Right.
She said, well, just in case you go on to practitioner or something. We'd want to be able to track your courses. And I said, get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't last long. Course after course, everything I could take.
Right.
Just sucking it in. And most of it I enjoyed so very much. And one thing led to another, and I found myself with more than enough credits to get into the practitioner program.
Right.
There wasn't a class open, so I just kept taking classes and went through the practitioner thing with such a powerful group of people. There were 6 of us in the class. Today, 3 of them are ministers.
I want to stop here for just a second, because we have some people that are watching that don't really understand the role of a practitioner.
Right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your understanding and your experience as a practitioner?
The primary job description, if you will, for a practitioner is a prayer professional.
There you go.
When somebody comes to a practitioner, and as a minister, I'm a practitioner first.
Right.
Minister is the frou-frou stuff.
Yeah.
But the prayer professional, when somebody comes to me as a practitioner
Right.
and says, here's the issue I have. What my job is, what my joy is to deconstruct the effect.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about. And go back to the cause. Now, I'm not talking about Freudian psychology.
Right.
Lay on the couch, how bad was your mother to you, or all these things. No, I go back to where people are thinking. Let's find out why there's a disconnect here and deal with that thinking. And that's what we call cause. From cause comes effect, and that's the I can't sleep at night, or my husband and I are fighting, or I can't get a job, or I'm broke, or whatever it is. We have to go back to cause. And the big cause, of course, is God, universe, first cause, all there is,
Right.
however you want to look at that.
But we often, as individuals, supplant something in between our creative divine source
And our connection.
and our connection.
Yes.
And that becomes, something that we give credit to being a because Reality is it's not.
It's actually an effect.
It's just an effect.
Yes.
But we get hooked up in that. And as a
Right.
practitioner, your job is to
See the truth.
see the truth.
See the truth about that.
Right.
And this teaching, this method of doing it is based upon the writings of Ernest Holmes.
Right.
But yes, 1926, the first Science of Mind book, all fine and wonderful. But it didn't start in 1926.
Yes.
We take the teaching back to Phineas Quimby. And I mention that because I just love the name. Phineas
Great
Quimby.
name.
It's a great name.
Yeah, it really is.
Who worked with mesmerism or hypnotism
Right.
to actually alleviate physical pain. And when asked, and Quimby didn't write anything.
Right.
He wrote a couple brochures that went out in his lobby.
Right.
But he didn't actually write any books or anything. But when he was asked, what do you base your healing upon? He said, the teachings of Jesus.
Yeah.
And from Phineas Quimby come divine science and all the other new thought teachings. They
Right.
all had the roots there.
Unity
Christian
and-
Science and
Yeah.
and the Fillmores with Unity.
Right.
All of them really came out of that. And Quimby, of course, was not working on new material.
No.
Quimby
not a
was
bit.
working on ages-old material. Jesus' teachings were not from 2012 years ago.
No.
Jesus was working on teachings that go back as far as anything is written.
And we call it new thought.
And we call it
ancient wisdom.
Ancient wisdom.
And that's
New
true.
thought, ancient, and that's an important
It-
understanding to make.
Yeah, and this is what really excites me because and we've had a chance to talk about it a little bit. My understanding is like yours. This teaching is so old.
Yes.
It's as old as humankind, if you will, and yet it has been packaged, repackaged, formed, reformed, put aside, brought back out, and that incarnation has gone through so many times. And that brings us up to today.
Today. Yes.
And in this time,
we could do a whole series on just the genesis of new thought.
Right.
But that's not what we're talking
but
about
today, in this time, in the here and now, as I believe that it is the preeminent philosophy and teaching for this age and this time.
It is probably the most practical, and that's not to find judgment or lack with anybody else's spiritual understanding.
Right.
But in terms of dealing with what we call the modern world, the realities of today, of computers, of high-speed transportation, of instantaneous fiduciary transfers, being able to find a grounding
Right.
is more important than ever.
It
Being
really
able to recognize these are all, again, we're back to effect here.
That's right.
All these things are happening around us, but where do we keep ourselves?
Hold that thought. Where do we keep ourselves? We're going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this, and then we're going to talk about Reverend Brian's book and a whole program that he's put together around this great teaching. So we'll see you when we come back.
Hi, I'm Greg Rude, a local real estate agent working with London Properties. You might be thinking about buying or selling a property right now, or maybe you just have a question about real estate. I'd love to help you with that. Give me a call at 352-7716, and I can answer any questions that you might have. Maybe you've got a property that's upside down. Maybe you're interested in buying a bank foreclosure and have a question about that. Or maybe you just like someone to show you some houses that you're interested in or have a question about a particular property. Once again, give me a call. My name's Greg, 352-7716, and I'd love to help you. Thanks.
This just in. Tower District houses are selling for as little as $300 per month. If you have a job and decent credit, you can own your own home. If you can come up with a down payment, you can own a home a lot cheaper than you can rent, and your payment will never go up. Also, you could deduct most of your house payment from your income taxes. If you'd like to lock in your monthly house payment at $300 to $500 per month for the next 30 years, call Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
Hi, I'm Jason Govelli, and I'd like you to take just a minute and ask yourself a couple of questions. Are your needs being met in the real estate business? Are you getting all the latest technology that you need to be productive in this market? Are you getting the benefits that you deserve? Do you have enough leads? Are you truly making enough money for all that hard work and time you've been putting in? If not, you might want to give me a call and we can set up a confidential interview. At Connect Realty, we're one of the fastest growing companies around. There's tons of tools and benefits for agents, like freerealtor.com showcase listings, free unlimited virtual tours, free websites with nationwide IDX. We have free virtual back office, free compliance coordinator so that you can be paid right away. There's health insurance, life insurance, and the best part is the commissions start from 80% and go to 95%. And we have one of the best retirement plans in the whole industry. Now, I cannot possibly go over everything in just this short minute. Go to the website, careers@connectrealty.com, or feel free to call us at the toll-free number, or you can even call my personal line, 559-307-0550. I look forward to talking to you. Thanks.
Okay. He says, well, he got his pacemaker.
This segment is brought to you by Corrine Hatfield of Platinum Mortgage. If you are thinking of purchasing a new home or refinancing an existing home, call Corrine Hatfield at 917-7111.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the wonderful Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera, and my guest today is the Reverend Brian Graham from Oceanside.
Oceanside, beautiful Oceanside, California.
Beautiful Oceanside, California.
Right.
So we were talking about, just before we went to break,
Right.
you were telling me that it was within.
It's totally, everything is within.
Yeah.
God is within. And that is the word. Before the show, we were talking about what was our individual stumbling point in making the transition from no thought to new thought. And for me, it was using the word God.
Right.
Because of all of that stuff that was all those years. God actually brought little hairs up on the back of my neck. I couldn't say it.
Yeah, we have in our phraseology within our philosophy, we refer to it oftentimes as the G word.
The G word,
but we call it God, we call it Spirit, we call it universal intelligence. My congregation has heard me call it George more times than not.
Have you? In the book, I call it Chuck.
Chuck. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Why would the creator of everything there is, infinite beyond our ability to comprehend infinite, why would it care what you call it?
That's right.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, not a bit.
But I'm happy to say I've recovered from that.
Oh, well, good.
I got to the cause.
Yeah. Got to
release the effect.
All right. So now you finally made your connection, if you will.
Right.
And from there to here, and here we're going to get to our presentation of your book and stuff. Tell me about that, Genesis. How did that transpire?
Well, here I was in Reverend Brian and Sheila Anderson's church, and taking these classes. And it occurred to me as I was sitting there, as I was finally getting over that first rush of, you mean other people know this?
Right.
And there's words for it, and there's ways to do it. As I was getting past that, I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get this to everybody in a way that anybody, without any pre-understanding of buzzwords, and of course I love the writing of Ernest Holmes. It is a little dated, and it is sometimes a little difficult to understand. So I thought, what if we could just take that stuff out and just get right down to as if you and I were having a conversation?
Well, it's been my experience, Brian, that oftentimes you talk to people, and if you are using a lot of the phraseology that we use, they find it a little disconcerting, or they're not quite comfortable because they don't really have an understanding. Some of this stuff you really have to have a deeper understanding
Right.
of what's behind it,
Yeah.
in order to really grasp it. And what you've done with your book is you've taken it and put it into every man's language.
Every man's language. And it's really important at this point that I make the distinction, this is not my book.
Mm-hmm.
I am honored to have my name on the cover.
Yeah.
I am honored to be sitting here speaking with you and these wonderful people
Right.
about the material that's in it.
Okay.
This is God's book.
There you go.
I'm real clear on that. When it came time to put it together, and I approached it a couple of times over the years,
Right.
wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
When it came time to put it together, I was provided with the time to do it, the financial support. The bank called me while I was writing this book when I was concerned about making my mortgage and said, hey, tell you what, we're going to drop your interest rate 2 points. And if you do it next couple of days, you won't have to make your mortgage payment this month. Everything was laid out for me. Everything was given me.
I
And
would
that's why I
say-
know this is not my book, this is God's book.
I would say amazing, but I've seen
Yeah.
and this is the thing. When the miraculous becomes the everyday experience, life becomes that miraculousness
Well,
that
Albert Einstein said either everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle.
And this is, you were created. I was created. We're all created
Everybody,
in this
yes.
divine. And I like to point this out. We read that we are created in the likeness and the image, and everybody gets the image part. I mean, I look in the mirror sometimes and I wonder about the image, but let's go to the likeness.
Doesn't the image kind of look like Charlton Heston to you? Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit.
The beard, that long hair.
But when we get to the likeness part, that's the creative intelligence. That's the infiniteness.
That's right.
And you're right. So we're going to talk about this. I'm going to hold this up here. I'm going to stick it up in front of the camera. That's his book. His book that's God's book, and it's called Think, Believe, and Receive. It sounds very similar to processes that I have seen made manifest in people's life.
There you go.
Brian, tell us about your book. I got to tell you, and I haven't honestly read all of it, but I've read a lot of it. And in the opening of his book, one of the things he starts about is the idea of having either a reaction or a responding to situations in your life.
Action or reaction.
Action or reaction. And why don't we start there and just take us through the think, believe, receive process, what it is that this book lays out, because I do believe that what you what has come through you here, what is in this book, is a very important process that when people take and put it in their lives, it changes lives.
To the degree we allow.
Yeah.
And I don't want to jump ahead to the receive
No.
thing. Okay, let's look at the idea of act or react from the standpoint of how do we create our own reality? How do we find our happiness and our joy? If I'm driving down the road and pull up to a stop sign, and next to me pulls a big motorcycle with ape hanger handlebars, and the driver's got long hair and leather vest and looks very rough. He's probably a relatively large guy, a little frightening perhaps. Oh, there's an example, yes, of that visage. I can either say, frightening, run away, this person is dangerous to me, and roll up the windows and get out of that stoplight, maybe even before it turns green. That would be react. If I take the time to act, I can recognize that the person next to me is also created in the image and likeness of God. Right. And that if I relate to that person as being a person rather than a threat, they're far more likely to respond to me as a like person.
That's right.
I don't set up the situation of being in danger
That's right.
by recognizing that we are all one.
That's right.
And that's a vibrational context, and we go into the vibrational reality because more of our communication takes place between ourselves vibrationally than it does orally or physically.
That's right.
When I walk into a room, there may be 200 people in the room. Of those 200 people, maybe 3 or 4 I'm drawn to. Why? Because their vibration and my vibration are in alignment. I may associate, I may meet with those other people, the other 197, but my connection is with just a couple of those people.
That's right.
Because their vibration and my vibration match.
You got to match.
Now, we talk about think. We already talked about that, pulling up to the stoplight. My thought is, oh, scary, danger to me.
Yeah.
What's my thought about it? Or, what a wonderful expression of God. Think.
Right.
Believe. I believe I go through this life drawn to those people who have common with me. The things we've discovered about each other this morning
Right.
have been absolutely amazing,
Yeah.
our parallels. And so that's my belief. I am always drawn to the safe situation, that I am drawn to situations where people feel my love for all things. And then what I receive is the experience of people coming into my life who are simpatico with me, who teach me. I mean, they may not always be thinking the same thing I'm thinking,
Right.
but we're compatible. I can hear what they say, they can hear what I say, and I can love them no matter what their background is.
Right.
So that's my think, believe, receive process just on the act and react.
Interaction between individuals.
Am I coming from today, now, or am I coming from what I have been told over the years is good for me?
And that's the point. Let's go back to your example with, and we can take, in the place of a motorcyclist, biker, if you will, you can put anything there, an individual or a circumstance, that is different, that is out of your life context. And so often, and we're trained from the time we're little in our society to react.
React.
And
yes.
I mean,
Because it makes us safe.
It puts the wall up. It gives us, oftentimes it leads to a process of fear. And we understand that when we have this process of fear, if we hold on to that, we begin. You were talking about vibrations.
Vibrations.
We create, fear vibrational, and in the universe, like attracts like.
Like attracts like.
And so.
Period.
Oftentimes, and one of the things that we say is people oftentimes live their life experience in a word that we use this word called ignorance, not in a derogatory
Or
way,
a judgmental way.
yeah,
Simply
but
an explanation.
just an explanation that we live our life without the understanding that there's something greater, that there is connection, that there is a presence and a power that is available to us, and it's universal, and it's a one. And your book so points this out.
And not only is it available to us, it is functioning in us right now, all of the time.
Right.
Our choice is to accept and embrace this power or to turn our back from it.
Right.
That is our choice. We are making that choice all of the time.
Very powerful word choice. And we're going to take that as our cutaway to our next commercial, and that is our choice. We'll see you when we come back.
Mike Briggs Properties has a very special historic property for sale that can be used as a home or as a business. This classic California craftsman historical home is located in the Tower District, Fresno Heights area. The interior ambiance displays a heyday of craftsman aesthetics, substance, strength, symmetry, and casual grace. Elegantly appointed mahogany and oak structural elements integrate form and function in a harmonious flow from room to room in this two-story, 4,500-foot home. The property also includes a nearly 800-foot, two-bedroom apartment above the garage. This property is well suited for a professional office type of business or for a large family or combined living and workspace. The lot included with this property is park-sized with plenty of room for expansion or as a parking lot big enough to support a commercial business. For more information on this property, call Mike Briggs Properties at 486-6758. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
Welcome to Johnny's Porch.
About that.
We have been doing this for a
that.
year. My memory of the porch is that it's very much where women ruled. It was almost a throne.
You going like that?
Oh, I'm circular. See, Southern folks are circular. What you said, preach.
Preach.
You want me to preach?
Preach.
Love sharing. those things and those things that'll make you stronger and better and go for. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. Hey, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody. Okay, no more drama in my life. To myself, I said self. Myself said yeah.
That was a good one.
That was good, girl. I'm good. I'm for you to become the best reflection of yourself. And what was that? The one God intended all along. We're going to get there together, I promise you. Thank God for the post. Amen.
You can advertise your business, your product, or your event on Central Valley Talk, the Valley's only internet television station. Several of our programs are also picked up on Dish and cable networks. For the best advertising dollar, call Central Valley Talk at 579-1360. This segment is brought to you by Blimpies in the Tower District. For all of your lunch and dinner needs, go to Blimpies in the Tower District.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, we are back. I want you to take a look at the screen. You saw that picture flash up there. What would you have done if you'd have had that
Pull
ugly
up next to you.
Pull up next to you, right?
And isn't it fascinating that in my writing here, in this book that was given me, Think, Believe, Receive, that is the example I use about the biker. Now, would you tell me who was in the picture?
Well, that picture.
I think you've already guessed who it was.
Yeah, Brian and I talked on the phone because I was reading his book in the intro, and we all have our own history, and that's part of my history. It's part of my journey, getting to where I'm at today. It gives me the strength to be able to communicate with people on certain levels that otherwise I may not have, and an understanding of openness and the oneness that we all are.
Exactly.
No matter what kind of background you have, no matter what kind of your story that you carry, right here, right now, you can change that whole thing.
And that's the new thought.
And that's choice.
Choice.
And that's what you're talking about.
We are.
Anyway, we're talking about choice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pick it up from there.
I'm all for it.
Okay.
What's your choice?
Well, my choice is I like the book.
Thank you.
And my choice was New Thought Philosophy. I ended up being a minister, and now I got you on my show. But in Think, Believe, and Receive,
right,
it really is about coming to an understanding of the thinking part. We all think.
Well, we can't do anything
Can't do anything but.
It's instantaneous.
Understanding that thinking is always a creative process.
Right.
Never stops being a creative process.
Right.
And that we are empowered with the ability to have choice as to what we think about.
You're right.
So when I begin to give up my level of ignorance, if you will, realizing that I now have a self-realization of empowerment, that I can choose what it is that I think about, then I can choose...
And how you respond to whatever your thought or experience is.
Right. I can choose how I believe in life, where I place my faith. And then we come to the receiving part of this. And so oftentimes, people oftentimes trivialize this. They say, well, you're just a prosperity philosophy, this, that, and the other, or gospel, or whatever. But the idea is, prosperity is not about money.
Prosperity is about a relationship with our experience.
That's right.
However, we live in a very real physical world.
That's right.
We do have that bill thing coming in every single month.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how much we have coming into our checkbooks every month. What is our relationship to that income?
That's right.
That's how are we thinking about it? What do we believe about it? And when we receive it, what are we thinking about? If I make $30,000 a year and I believe I can live my life the way I want to on $30,000 a year, I am not in lack, shortage, or limitation.
You are.
I am in joy. I'm in prosperous.
That's right.
Prosperous.
Yeah.
If I earn $500,000, $1 million, $1 billion, give it any number, And I look at it and say, but there's not enough.
That's right.
I have less than the person that makes $30,000.
That's right.
What is our relationship? Prosperity is not just about dollars. It is about our relationship to our lives.
That's right. All aspects.
Money
of
is
it.
part of it. And we do not turn our backs on money.
No.
We do not say, God will provide. Yes, God will provide, but treat and move your feet. Get out there,
You
do
betcha.
something. It's not about saying, oh, if I go to Reverend Steve's church and listen to 4 of his sermons, and I watch the movie The Secret, I'm going to be able to go out here to the casino and throw $1 into the slot machines, and it's going to hit the jackpot. That's not what it's about.
Oh, darn.
I'm sorry. There, I've
But I've
blown,
heard-
I've
I've
blown the
heard
whole
that.
talk, haven't I?
And you've heard that.
Of course.
You know.
My son-in-law did it.
Yeah?
Oh, I watched The Secret. I'm going up to the casino. And he was very disappointed when he didn't walk away. What was his dominant vibration? It was not about the ability to create something. It was his thought that this is a get-rich-quick scheme and all I have to do is these actions. That's fine. We do have to take the action steps. But we cannot do the action steps without a spiritual connection. And if that word spiritual scares you, I'm sorry. Spiritual is not about religion. Spiritual is about a relationship with our being. If our spiritual alignment is there for prosperity, it is there. No matter what our income is. But we do live in a real world. We do live in a physical world where those bills have to be paid. How do we look at that income? Do I look at $2,000 in bills and a projected income of $1,500 and say, I'm bankrupt?
And there's people that do that.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Absolutely. And I'm not immune to it. There are times when I look at it and say, how's this going to happen? I don't know. That's where the new thought understanding, the new thought work comes in. Because when I hear that fear, when I hear that limitation come up within me, and even though I have the master's, I'm working on my doctorate, I've got the titles, I've got the book, I'm a human being. It comes up.
That's right.
What do I do with it? That's the question.
How do you respond?
How do we react or react? If I react, I'm in trouble. I'm going broke. I don't have enough money. I can't even buy food.
That's right.
No matter what the reality is. But if I act and say, okay, here I am on the first of the month. I know this month I've got $2,000 worth of bills coming in. I know that what I'm looking at is maybe $1,500, I think. But when I put that in perspective and say, yes, this is the physical reality, but I know that I am always able to pay every one of my bills on time and still have money left over to share and spare. And then no matter what that amount is, I do. I do.
And why do you know that?
Experience. When, in the process of putting this book together, for instance, which is one of my favorite stories, I was sitting down at the beach in Oceanside, scribbling away day after day, about 30, or a little bit over 30 days. And I started thinking, it's coming up to the first of the month. I don't have money for the mortgage. So I did specifically some treatment, which prayer treatment, affirmative prayer, is
Right.
what we do in New Thought, and said, there's a reason I'm here. And I'm going to trust that no matter what my needs are, they are met completely all of the time. And I kid you not, it wasn't but an hour, within an hour of putting that very clearly into consciousness, I got a phone call. It was my bank saying, hi, would you mind if we lowered your interest rate 2 points?
Right.
Well, yeah, sure. And if you do it the next couple of days, you won't have to pay your mortgage this month. Now, here's the demand. I know that all of my bills are paid on time, fully, and easily. And here is the universe, God, Spirit, first cause, however you want to look at it, sending me a bank to say, keep doing what you're doing.
That's right.
Because that's important too, and we're going to take care of the rest of it for you.
Yeah.
I know it, I've lived it, I've practiced it, it's physical, not just ethereal.
That's right. And when people come to New Thought centers and they begin to hear this, oftentimes they go, oh, this is amazing. This is beyond my ability to conceive. But I want to tell you, if you take the time, you pick up Reverend Brian's book here, for example. You take the time to read it, to understand it, and you put these principles into practice in your life. What he's talking about, what you've shared, becomes more commonplace and more commonplace and even more commonplace as we begin to do this.
And that's the receive part. Once we recognize that our thoughts are real, they are powerful, they create.
Right.
Once we get into the belief of that, now comes what should be the easiest part, receive. Okay, give me my stuff.
There you go.
But recognizing it as it comes around is so important, because the universe will answer every one of our requests
At a certain level.
at its level.
That's right.
So we then get this wonderful gift. And now we get into gratitude and affirmation of, you see how it came through? That may not be exactly the way I thought it would come through, but it did. So now it's my work to change how I'm asking or what I'm asking about. And we have that power.
You
within
betcha.
us.
Okay, we're going to take the last part of this segment here. I'm going to turn this over to Reverend Brian. He's going to tell you about his book. He's got a couple meditation CDs. He's going to give you some information where you can order these from him, so you can take the things that we're talking about, and you can put them into practice in your life, and you will, as we say, change your thinking. You will change
Your life. Absolutely. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
There's nothing magical about that. There's nothing mystical about that. These are simply the perfect operation of the universe in our lives. And as far as the materials themselves, as I say, I don't take credit for this. This is nothing new that is that I have made up. You don't have to learn any new terminology. This is exactly what happens all of the time for each and every one of us. It's simply becoming aware of it in our life. Now, the Think, Believe, Receive is available through Barnes & Noble. It's available through Amazon. It's also as an audiobook, if that's the way you prefer to have your material come in. That's iTunes, or Amazon has that. However, we do have 2 meditation CDs. We have to Think, Believe, Receive, Prosperity, which is not the book at all. This is a CD about creating prosperity, allowing prosperity to come into our lives, to set up our thinking and our believing so that we can receive the unlimited prosperity which is ours into our lives. There's also a poem on there that my wife did, Can It Be, which goes into how, can this stuff really be true? Can it be that simple? And then there's a couple of music beds on there in case you want to do your own meditative process. And meditation is a word that scares some people. Let's get rid of the fear on that. And just say, if you want to contemplate, if you want to sit quietly and enjoy your own process, there's a music bed there to support you, and you know it runs 20 minutes, so you know you're not going to drift off into nothing, and you know when the time is up. The other meditation CD I have here is called In the Moment, and that's where we do our work, in the moment. We can't do it tomorrow, because tomorrow is always tomorrow, and the past is the past. Where we can work, where we can manifest what we want to receive in our lives is right now, to put ourselves in that place. There's some guided meditations here, and again, some music beds. The Think, Believe, Receive book, as I say, is available in hardcover or in softcover. It's your choice, through all those other outlets. You can also go to the website thinkbelievereceive.net and order the book using PayPal. But I'm really happy to do this, Reverend Steve, because of this particular endeavor, and I so am in support of what Reverend Steve and all these fine people are doing. I want to make a special offer that only applies to the viewers of this show. You can contact me at my own site there, Rev Brian Graham at AOL.com, Rev Brian Graham at AOL.com. And tell that you watched this show, you heard about it, and what I will do is send you a hardcover, which is a $30 book off the shelf. I'll send you a hardcover, and both of these meditation CDs, absolutely no extra charge. So you're getting $60 worth of product for only $30. And of that $30, because tithing is a spiritual practice, and many people go nuts when they hear the word tithing, because it's really been introduced to them more as extortion than that spiritual relationship. I am tithing back to Reverend Steve and his center 10% of all the sales that come from that. So Rev, R-E-V, BRIANGRAHAM at AOL.com. Just email me there. I can take care of the credit card orders, and you'll receive both the hardcover and the 2 meditation CDs for only $30. And 10% of that goes right back to Reverend Steve.
All right, we're going to cut away now to our last commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Reverend Brian is going to be out at the Madera Spiritual Awareness Center tomorrow. We're going to just utilize the living daylights out of him, but he's going to be putting on a workshop too, so we're going to talk about that. We'll see you when we come back.
America's Sub Shop has arrived in the Tower District. Blimpie's is the best place to get delicious sandwiches, salads, baked goods, and smoothies at reasonable prices. You won't believe the great value of Blimpie's $5 combo deals. The fresh baked bread and big bowl tastes will bring you in, and the friendly service and great prices will keep you coming back. A Blimpie sandwich is great on your lunch break or as a healthy meal for the whole family. Try Blimpie's today, located directly across from the Tower Theater. We know you'll love it.
Welcome to Voice of the Valley. I am your host, Kathy Wilcox, and 2 of Kathy's favorite things are going to be featured on the show today. Number 1 is money. Number 2,
Fine moves. You can do it.
alcohol! My first guest.
Back and forth ever so gently.
I have to get up. I have to show you this dress because I think it was made for me. Doesn't this just scream Maryland? I'm dressed in my Christmas parade outing, as you can see. Reindeer.
Number 1 selling wine from Argentina.
Argentina.
Kathy Wilcox, Voice of the Valley. Wednesdays at 2 on Channel 43.
Hi, Bill Carmichael here, manager of Valley Gold Mine Fresno. I'd like to tell everybody that we've relocated to the Tower District at 1212 North Van Ness Avenue. If you have any broken or unwanted jewelry you'd like to get top dollar for, give us a call at 559-970-8660. Also, we're on the web at www.valleygoldminefresno.com. If you're the type that likes to entertain at home, we have some gold parties that we can tell you about. And also, if you have children in schools and they have trouble raising funds, we have a great fundraiser that works as well. Once again, my number is 559-970-8660. Thank you.
This segment is brought to you by David Parker from the law offices of Parker, Kern, Nard, and Wenzel.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back. My goodness, this is the 4th and final segment of today's show. My guest today has been the Reverend Brian Graham from Oceanside. We've talked about his book. But now as we move into this last segment, Brian, you're going to be out at this great little center out in Madera, the Spiritual Awareness Center.
What do you know about that?
Oh, I know a lot about that. It's a heck of a place.
Right.
We have a really great Sunday celebration every Sunday there. And you're going to be the keynote speaker tomorrow.
I'm so excited about that.
I'm really looking forward to having you come out. But
And I'm going to be speaking on a talk called Prosperity and Stuff.
Oh,
we're going to get right to the nuts
right
and
to
the
the
bolts.
right to the
We're
nitty-gritty.
going
That's
to
good.
give tools that people can use right now to expand the money. Because let's put aside this prosperity and abundance stuff. That's frou-frou talk.
Okay.
I want dollars in my pocket.
All right.
We're going to do some stuff
We're gonna
that
talk
will
about
put dollars in your pocket right now. And you
know-
don't have to sign a long-term contract.
And here's the deal. You were created to live your life at that level.
Yeah.
And that's it. You are created to experience your life fully, completely, and there is a presence and a power in the universe that will provide for you everything you need when you hook up with the principles. And you're going to...
And Reverend Steve's not talking about Brian Graham.
No.
Exclusively. Reverend Steve's talking about you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're going to be out. And we're going to have at about 1 o'clock. We're going to put this workshop on. If you get a chance to come on out tomorrow, is the third Sunday of the month out there at the Spiritual Awareness Center. We have a potluck, and you are invited to join us.
That's even better than cake.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff. And Brian, I want to thank you for coming up and being on the show. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. This is going to be just a heck of a deal. So.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining in this discussion. I hope you got something from it, and you will put it to use that you think, you believe, and you receive all the joy that is yours.
Namaste, my friend. Namaste. Very good. Okay, so, boy, we just, once again, we get down to this final closing segments. As I said earlier, we will be having our potluck tomorrow. We're going to have Reverend Brian. He's going to be our keynote speaker at the 10:30 service. And again, at about 1 o'clock, he's going to put on just one heck of a workshop. But you can join us any Sunday out there. We are located at 218 South D Street. We're right across the street, more or less, from the post office there in Madera. And we look forward to seeing new faces all the time. You will be invited into a warm, loving, spiritual experience. And I can say that from the bottom of my heart because we have such a great congregation. We have a great leadership support team. Besides myself, there's Reverend Jim and Joanna Fox. They were the founders of our center. They're there with us. We got some great music. If you are local and you happen to see Peter Mordyke, he has a show on this channel. Peter will be doing our music for us tomorrow. So that's always a wonderful experience. But, not everybody, not all of you are local to our area here. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact some of you are not necessarily local even to the state of California. So you find yourself out there, wherever out there is, and you go, I've been listening to Reverend Brian, I've been listening to Reverend Steve, and this stuff touches me. And so you got a couple of things. One, you can contact Reverend Brian and get his book, but you can also, you have a couple online resources. I know you're online because if you're watching the show, you've got to have access to the internet at some level. So let me tell you, you want to go to a website that is called findacenter.com. All one word, findacenter.com. If you go there, you will find, you can follow the links, and it will take you to a New Thought Center. And it's no matter what part of the world you're in. You can be in New Zealand, you can be in South America somewhere, you can be in Europe. Whatever center is closest to you, you will be able to find through findacenter.com. And if you want to get right on it right now, today, as soon as the show's over, you can go to another link, and that link is called newthoughtlibrary.com. Again, it's all one word, newthoughtlibrary.com. And in that New Thought Library, you're going to find all sorts of books that were written by founders of the New Thought movement. There's some stuff from the Fillmores. There's some stuff from Phineas Quimby that we talked about earlier today. There's some stuff from, just the list is long, and we'd have to do a whole show just going through the list. But there's stuff there, books there online that you can read right now today, and it is available to you. And so these are resources that you have. Utilize them. Put them to use in your life, because truly, if you change your thinking, if you change the way that you choose to experience your life, if you act instead of react, as Reverend Brian says, you will begin to see a response in your life. And this is very powerful and empowering. This is what brought me to the New Thought movement, and what drives me to make sure that we get this word out. It is important that we get this word out, that it's important that you put it into practice in your life. And you know what the bottom line is? If you have a particular religious philosophy that you grew up with that is still very important to you, I bless you, and you can still hang on to your philosophy. Hold it, use it, become, ever more involved in whatever philosophy it is you believe. But take the tools, take these principles that we teach you here, put them into practice in your life, and I promise you, your life will change. And so, as we come getting down to our final closing segments, I want to tell you, you can support this program We have multiple ways that you can do that. You can go to the Madera website, which is maderasac.com. We have a PayPal link on there for contributions. But if you're going to make a contribution for this program, please make a note in your contribution that it is for the show so that we can see to it that it is credited accordingly. And all your contributions through the center are tax deductible. There is a link on the webpage that you're watching this program right now that says contribute or donate to this show, and that will go directly to supporting this show through the studios that we recorded out of. Either of these two ways. You can also send, if you would choose to use snail mail and a check, you can put a check in the mail and you can send it to Reverend Steve at the Madera Spiritual Awareness Center. And again, make a note on the check that you are making your contribution for the New Thought Talk show. As Reverend Brian was saying earlier, he was talking a little bit about tithing. We have an understanding of the law of circulation, and what this law of circulation is all about is what goes around comes around, and I am putting it in very simplistic terms. But as we begin to give, as we begin to take our good, and what we're doing is we're planting seeds for a greater creation of future good for ourselves. We plant these seeds by giving to those organizations, those places where we get our spiritual food. And I sure hope that some of you are getting some spiritual food from this program, because that's what it's all about. So I'm going to close up as I always do. We just take a moment, and I want to tell you, may the light of God surround you. May the love of God enfold you. May the power of God protect you, and the presence of God watch over you, because truly, where each and every one of you are, each and every one of you, God is there, and all is well, my friends. Make it a great week. Thank you.
CentralValleyTalk.com